Namaskaram Sadhguru. This is the day Adiyogi became the Adiguru, but before him was there no way for seekers to access the dimension of Guru?
Well, we have spoken sometimes before, but anyway, now that you asked the question, this will again inflame the social media. See, as per certain astronomical events, and also certain geological events in terms of how they describe the geography, and in terms of certain major geological events that happened when a certain mountain blew its volcanic top. If by looking at these things, for example, there are Vedas, the Rig Veda, of the 4 books, people should not misunderstand, because when I say a book, people understand that an entire religion is packed in a book. No, in the East it's not like that. Because there is no belief system, it is not packed in a book. Vedas were essentially the only library that they had at the time. So everything that they knew, they wrote it down. Vedas talk about how to build a very efficient bullock cart, how to raise a particular crop, how to manage water in the village, and also talks about how to realize oneself. Essentially, it was a one-book library. All the knowledge they had, they packed it into one book. Today, if you walk into a library anywhere, particularly in United States, probably it'll have 2-3 million books or more. I'm just estimating. I walked into some libraries and I looked around, how many could be there? I have not checked exactly, but easily over 1 or 2 million books could be there. Because everybody can write a book now, you know everybody can write a book. How I escaped or how I fought through the pandemic times, I think a lot of books are going to come now, everybody will write. So those days it is not like that. Knowledge was gathered, a farmer discovered something about agriculture, the wise men in the town or in that culture noted, oh, this is important, they wrote it into one book. In the same book, a yogi realized something, he spoke about something of great significance, that also was put right next to the farmer's realization of how to grow a crop. So it is a one-book library. Looking at some of the astronomical events that they recorded, one important thing is, it is estimated it could be over 100,000 years ago. One important aspect that we have to note is, there is no mention of Himalayas in the Rig Veda. They're talking about all the other mountain ranges in the Indian subcontinent. There is no mention of Himalayas. When you talk about mountains anywhere in the world, you cannot ignore Himalayas. There is no way. Those of you who have not traveled to Himalayas, especially if you are born in India and have not traveled to Himalayas, you must pack your stuff, you must get there as quickly as possible. It's something that you cannot miss. It is literally an endless mountain. I know there is a mountain in United States called Endless Mountain. Not like that. This is really, really endless mountain. The immensity of it is simply overwhelming for any human being. There are various other dimensions to it, leaving that. So there is no mention of Himalayas, especially when you're talking about mountain systems in the subcontinent. How can you ignore Himalayas? They did not ignore it because it was not there. Himalayas is of a recent origin. It has grown because the subcontinent plate is crashing into the main Central Asian plate and it's going up, it's still a growing mountain. So it dates back to that time. Was everything written at one time? No. This book might have grown in its volume over 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years, we don't know. But definitely it dates back to that kind of time. So we started talking about 15,000 years, not because that is the date, because we have some iconographic proof that 12,000 years ago, there was an image of Adiyogi on the coins that they made. Based on this, we are saying around 15,000. But all other things say it was much beyond. So much beyond means, in most part of the world at that time, most people were still hanging from the trees. There was no need for any spiritual teaching or methodology because literally everybody across the planet was fighting for their survival. They did not think of anything more than how to survive this day. But fortunately, as Himalayas grew and the land got protected by the mountains, no invaders, no rampaging hordes came from anywhere else. As this happened, those 5, 6, 7,000 years of peaceful existence happened. That is when the seekers came, because now they had a stable life, they had mastered agriculture to some extent. Because of that, they started living in one place, food was stored up and kept, every day you didn't have to go hunting. Now, human mind started looking what more. That's when the seeking happened. So the question of before Adiyogi, was there no possibility? Maybe there was, but definitely there was no organized approach to it. What Adiyogi gave is not that we do not know, that he is the first one to realize. Maybe others realized but had no means to express it, no knowledge to express it, no, a profound sense of understanding to put it out as a science. So Adiyogi opened up this possibility that every human being can enhance himself or herself if they are willing to strive. This is the most important aspect of his life. For the first time, a clear statement that you are not a fixed life. You are not a fixed life like other creatures on this planet. All other creatures are fixed between two lines, that's all their life is. The possibility of what they can be is fixed. Adiyogi came and opened this doorway to a larger world that you are not a fixed life. If you're willing to strive, there are possibilities beyond what you consider as natural limitations of life. So this possibility of evolution, conscious evolution, is the significant contribution of Adiyogi. And it is not just a statement, there is an entire method. Not one method, 112 methods for every kind of human being. Looking at the human mechanism in its entirety and exploring all possibilities of it. Does it mean to say no individual could have not realized before him? They might have, but we have not heard of them, they are not recorded, they have no teaching, they have no method that's been passed on. So, because they were not… See, if you look back today in terms of anthropology or archaeology, if you look at it in terms of archaeology, what do they usually find? They find some pottery, some scratchings which are called art on caves, cave walls. A carved rock also wears out, but pottery, burnt clay, it stays. bricks and pottery stays. So usually this is what you find. But a human being realized, that is not a pottery, that is not a monument, so archaeologists will not find it. If you look at further out into the thing about looking at human bones, human skeleton somewhere, well, your enlightenment will not be shining in your bones that you see after 10,000 years of 25,000 years of whatever. So because of that, there is no record, but because Adiyogi started a tradition, he trained these 7 fantastic human beings to take it around the world, and he spread them so that if they all go to one place, it may live there for some time and die. So he spread them to different parts of the world so that it lives in its various dimensions and forms. Because of that, it still lives. Well, Adiyogi also did not write a book, he only spoke to them. I don't think even the Saptarishis wrote it down, they also spoke to people. Much further down, we don't know how much further down, somebody started writing down these things. But because they managed to produce such highly dedicated human beings, that is, those human beings who took their guru as their dharma, his energy flowed in their bodies, it's his breath that they were breathing. Because of that, without distortions largely it came, till the printing press came. After the modern printing press came, all kinds of ridiculous interpretations of this happened. There was there is I have a lot of books at home. Most of them, 95% or more, I've never opened them. Just to make me look little educated, in case anybody visits. Real books, not just fake ones, real books. The only things I've read among them is some novels, some books on history, but none of the other things I've read. But obviously, people keep bringing books to me, they think they need to educate me on yoga because they can clearly see I'm illiterate and I'm going on about yoga. So some book was given to me, excuse me. On art paper with lots of diagrams, but it's printed on art paper with lots of diagrams, pictures and everything. So yesterday, for some reason, I was near the bookshelf and I saw Yoga Sutras. This problem came because, our new book is titled as Karma Sutras. The publishers are having a problem because they think people will read it as Kama Sutras. I said, maybe in America only people have heard of Kama Sutras, but there is Yoga Sutras, there is Shiva Sutras, there is Brahma Sutras, there are various sutras. Sutra means it is in that kind of a form, that it is a thread that holds things together. So I'm still trying to convince the publisher, the sutra word must be there because long term this will make a difference. It's unfortunate, in United States people have heard of only Kama Sutra. So I saw this Yoga Sutra book and I picked it up and, I always open the book in some middle page. I don't start from the beginning because I can never stand those introductions. So some page I open and, they have put the Sanskrit form of the Yoga Sutra, then the English version of it, and this author, whoever, I didn't see whether it's an Indian author or an American author, But going about explaining these Yoga Sutras in such a horribly ridiculous way, ludicrous, then I just saw one page and I said, hats off to this man's confidence. Recently, one of the quotes said, confidence and stupidity are a dangerous combination or something like this, and they often come together. So 3-4 days it's been on the Twitter, negative tweets on me. How I don't understand what is confidence and what is… 3 days there is trending tweets against me because confidence and stupidity goes together. Well, this man is a real example of confidence and stupidity going together absolutely. He read the English words, whoever translated it, he read those English words and he thought he got the Yoga Sutras. Maybe never even closed his eyes for 2 minutes in his life, but he got the Yoga Sutras. And most ludicrous explanation of what this sutra is about. Well, this is what Adiyogi meant to change because he made sure that these 7 people absolutely invested themselves in him before anything happened. This is a little difficult in 21st century, but fortunately, in many ways, we're doing even better than Adiyogi because we have more than 7 people. More than 7 people. And I don't know the exact number, I think it was 11 or 21. When Gautama was to attain his Mahaparinirvana, after he was poisoned, he knew he won't make it. So he couldn't sit up, so he was lying down. And he said, only those who have realized should be with me at this point. Others, because they will waste time about being concerned about, oh, he's dying and somebody will start crying and somebody will try to bring a doctor, all this. So he wanted only those who realized. I'm not sure about the number, because in some places I think they said 11, in certain other places I saw it was 21, so I'm not really sure about that. But whatever, let's say 21 people gathered. Well, you know, Jesus, the Last Supper, when he knows in some way that his life is coming to an end, only 12 people gathered and you know it is actually 11. It's a deceptive dozen. So, like this, Krishna, such a fantastic being, only one. In that sense, we're doing very well. Do I have more than 11, 12, 21? Yes, I think. This is because one thing is, all those great beings, the contributions that they made, and the cultures that they created. Well, some people became fan clubs, fighting against each other, Shiva fan club fighting against Krishna fan club, or rather Krishna fan clubs fighting against Shiva fan clubs, Rama fan clubs fighting against Krishna fan clubs. Recently there was a big controversy because somebody who does only Ram Katha in the country, that he speaks only of Ram, it seems said something derogatory or people perceived it as derogatory to Krishna, and there was a big uproar about that. So there are fan clubs which will fight, but there are sensible people who understand these different streams of knowledge which float through traditions, and out of that, people have evolved to a certain level of understanding, certain level of receptivity, and also because the population Nobody had 7.4 billion population, all right? None of those great beings had this kind of population. So naturally we must have a little more numbers around us than they had, because our population must have multiplied, I don't know, maybe 10,000 times since Adiyogi. I'm not sure, I can't make a calculation. But from the beginning of 20th century, we have gone up what, from 1.6 billion to 7.6 billion or 7.5 billion, whatever it is. So that is literally 4 times or nearly 5 times up. So you can imagine 15,000 years ago what was human population and what it is today. So we must multiply 7 into that many. We can't take credit because we just have too many people. So now the aspiration, the seeds of aspiration, we've been sowing for last many years. Fortunately, we also have tools of communication that nobody ever had in the history of humanity, that we can communicate to the whole world. Right now, it's estimated that we have touched over 1 billion people, at least 1 billion people have watched more than 2 or 3 videos. This will multiply into 2 to 3 billion in the next 1 or 2 years' time. So this advantage nobody else had. So we cannot gloat about the numbers, we need to have many-fold more who will make their guru, their dharma, that is, their very breath and body breathes the guru. Then it's very easy, life becomes very easy. I don't have to work hard,